Which college? Learn anything, anytime, anywhere education. Whichcollege.co.
A hand-carved natural quartz crystal ball made into a necklace for divination on the go. Crystal balls have been used for centuries in healing and cleansing rituals, as well as for divination. The sphere represents infinity and the circle of life. While a wand uses focused energy, the crystal ball sends out energy in all directions. This makes it a great resource for discovering the complete circumstances surrounding a question.
Sarah had been trying to write a book for ages, but she was still on page 1. until she discovered SpeakYourOwnBook.com. Sarah teamed up with one of our trained writing coaches who listened to Sarah's book idea, asked the right questions, and guided Sarah every step of the way. In 90 minutes, they had written the outline for Sarah's entire book. Within weeks, using the speak writing method, Sarah became a published author, both online and in print. Whether it's a textbook, an autobiography, a novel, or a children's book, SpeakYourOwnBook.com can help.
Yeah.
Visit our website today to download our free 50-question guide and schedule your free consultation. With Speak Writing, anyone can publish a book. Speak your own book today. You speak, we write.
You're watching Speak Your Own Book, the TV show, on Pagan World TV. Please welcome your host, Krys Copeland, head writing coach and co-founder of Speak Your Own Book.
Welcome to Speak Your Own Book, and my name is Krys Copeland, and I am your host. And our guest today is actually someone who works with Speak Your Own Book, as well as with another program that we partner with. I have with me Maureen Ochieng, and Maureen, thank you for joining me in this conversation today.
I appreciate it. I'm grateful to be in this podcast today, and I'm glad that I'll help other people to know more about us as Speak Your Own Book and the other program that you're working on.
Absolutely. So we do want to mention that what you do with Speak Your Own Book, and as well as what you do with Rhiannon Farms, which is our other project that we have together. So Speak Your Own Book, Maureen handles all of our scheduling. So if you contact us via the Contact Us form, most likely it will be Maureen's responding to you. If you contact us on social media, usually it is Maureen's responding to you and coordinating our schedules to speak with potential authors. And other clients. So Maureen, we really appreciate the work that you do on that, because that's covering multiple time zones and multiple continents and coordinating all of our work together. So you also do similar things for Rhiannon Farms in your role there, but you also have additional roles within Rhiannon Farms. So first off, just tell the audience a little bit about what Rhiannon Farms is and what you do for that organization.
Okay, Rhiannon Farms is all about strawberry farming, and that was our basis when we started this project. We wanted to have a strawberry farm, but as time went by, we started doing organic farming. So we are majorly doing plants that are pure organic. Now we have tomatoes, we have onions, we have strawberries. There's a little bit of passion, and then we have celery. So all our plants, not most of them, all our plants are done organically. So we don't put pesticide. Our fertilizer is from manure, from cow dung, from chicken poop, from kitchen waste. We make our own manure and we add it to our farms. So Rhiannon basically was just for farming organically, to be able to teach other people how to do farming organically. Also, we are not doing it on a farm. Let me expound on this. We are doing vertical farming. Vertical farming means that where we are is an urban setting. So we don't have land that we can plant on. So most of our plants are done in the pots. So we have done recycling. We use water bottles, maybe 5 liters, maybe 10 liters. We use plastic paint tins. We use any material that is capable to handle maybe 5 kgs of soil, and plants can grow well in them. So most of our plants are done in pots. Some we have done on a rooftop, and some we have done at the backyard, which we don't have land. So we have done vertical farming with our plants. So we do pots, we buy soil because we're in the urban center, we buy soil. In Kenya, basically you're not supposed to buy salt. There's soil in Kenya. You're supposed to use the land. But because we're in urban center, there is no soil. So you have to buy the soil, mix it, and pot it. So most of us, because we're using pots, we buy the soil, we mix it by ourselves, we add our manure, and we do the planting. So as we have been progressing, we have been learning a lot. We have learned how to manage the pests that come by. So even when we get pests, we don't use pesticides still. We make our own organic pesticide, like we do aloe vera, we do lemongrass, we mix with warm water and we spray in our plants.
Absolutely. And that's important that you mentioned that this is urban farming based. So the program Rhiannon Farms is based out of Nairobi, and we do offer lots of trainings for other farmers, including urban farmers in the area. And what I really find exciting with Rhiannon Farms is not just what we're doing right now, but what we have plans to do for in the future. And currently we've partnered with a lot of different farms. So tell us a little bit about your experience with partnering with other farmers or people who want to be farmers in Nairobi.
Okay, as we have been meeting other farmers, it has been a learning experience. We learn both ways. We teach them and they teach us. We have gone to other farmers who are doing strawberry farmers, who are large scale strawberry farmers in Kenya. We learned a lot from them. They are semi-organic. They're not pure organic like us. They are semi-organic. They say being an organic farmer, it takes a lot. It's more tax. You have to invest a lot in it. So they do semi. They have most of the manure is organic, but when it comes to pesticide, they do kind of a little bit of chemical so that's to wade away the pests. We have also learned from other farmers who wanted to do strawberry. They want to do strawberry farming, but our main problem mostly with strawberry plants is snails. And when we say snails, they're not the snails you see outside, they're the snails that are inside the soil. So we learned that there's also, it's like a nanobio that some farmers are using to kill the snails. They take it, they put it inside the soil, and as it eats, it kills the snail, it multiplies. So you don't have to buy a lot, you just buy a few and your farm is safe. So when we learned that, we also one of our partners wanted to do strawberries. So we explained to him what needs to be done, and he tried it. It is working. They are multiplying it, because when this weather, like our November weather, when it's raining and it's cold, most strawberries multiply. They give you runners, they give you splits. So you don't need a lot to begin with if you're trying to start the farm, unless you've decided you will immerse yourself into strawberry. But if you're trying to see if you can give it a go, you start small, maybe with 100 plants. So one of our partners took like 50 and tried. The only challenge the person is getting is the snails. So we are trying to come up with methods apart from the nanobio way of killing them. You're trying to get other ways of killing the snails. Mostly us, we use either ash, charcoal ash, or we use, it's mostly charcoal ash and leaves, ashes. So that is the only challenge that we're having, but we have learned a lot from other farmers. When you put a lot of chemical on the ground, on your plants, it destroys the land itself. So you should give the land maybe 6 to 1 year for it to just get back to its nutrients, get its nutrients back, so that you can plant something else. Yeah, that is what is happening.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. That if we are more careful about what we put into the plant, then we'll limit the damage that we do to the soil itself. And that's an important lesson that I think any farmer needs to take to heart. I mean, we've seen what happens when areas of land are overfarmed, or chemicals like DDT are used on them. All of these experiences we've had in the past, especially in America, this situation has happened with the Dust Bowl, and with eruptions of a certain fungus or a certain bug that destroys the plant. So definitely with strawberries, it's snails that are the biggest culprit for that. So you talked about some natural remedies for preventing snails. What are some ways that you use organic forms of pesticide?
Okay, from what we have learned from other farmers, we were told marigold, it's a plant, marigold. You can plant it next to your strawberries. That one wards off the snails. There's also the copper. You put copper in around your farm. That one will ward away the snails. And then there was the one that we still laugh about, but we haven't tried, is the one that is all about beer. You're supposed to take beer in a can and put it at the corners so the snails will come and sink into it. That one we haven't tried. The one that we have tried is to know how many snails are in a plant. One of my colleagues called Silas took a banana peel and placed it around his strawberries and left it. So at around 2 a.m., 3, he came and found all the snails that were down there are on top of the banana leaves. That is one way of eradicating the snails without destroying your plants or destroying a lot of stuff. But it needs you to be very, very careful, because if you put the banana peel maybe at 7 and then you come tomorrow at 7, you won't get the snails. So you have to get the snails before they go back into the soil. So you put it there. When it's about 2, 3 a.m., you remove them from the banana peel, you put another set in the evening again. That way you can reduce them. That's another way, which is organic, but it's tiresome. The other one is using charcoal ash or leaf ashes, mostly from guava leaves. You just burn the leaves and then you sprinkle on the soil. That will, it's also this, the ash itself, it won't destroy the soil. It's also add nutrients to the soil. So this one will eradicate the snails. They won't be able to come up, and also will help you to reduce if you had ant infestation. The ash will also prevent the ant infestation. So the other method we're using as a pesticide is aloe vera and lemongrass. We mix them in warm water, and then we take the aloe vera gel from the aloe vera leaves, which we have planted our own. So we get it, then we make the solution, then we spray to the plants. It reduces. Another method that I've used is garlic solution. I use garlic, some cooking oil, and a bit of organic soap. That one you spray on the plants and it will also work. Another one I've used is neem oil, neem oil, some cooking oil, a little bit, and some herbal soap dish. You mix with warm water, then you spray. That one also helps with reducing the pesticides. So these are the methods we have used. Most of them I've used them. Some Silas have used them. We have seen it works, but the process is also tedious. Also, when you have the farm that you're having, like, my farm is at the backyard. When you do the garlic spray, the whole house smells garlic. So it's a balancing situation.
Yeah, absolutely. That gives people a lot of ideas for if they're struggling with organic strawberry farming themselves that they can try. And I like that we're encouraging other farmers to reduce their dependency on these pesticides that can be quite harmful for humans if ingested. But let's talk a little bit about the future for Rhiannon Farms. What do you see as like the next big step for us as an organization?
Okay, the next big step for Rhiannon, as far as we tried, this was, we were just trying to see if we can do it and how it will look like. Now we are targeting of getting a piece of land so that we can transfer the plants to the land. When we have this land, we're going to build a home. This home, as we had discussed, we want to make a home where it will be like a community where even ladies who have no home or children who don't have home, who can come and learn something from us. So it will be like an educational center, at the same time a safe haven for the may be abused children, women, and men alike. So it will be a sanctuary for every other person, at the same time a learning institution for people where you learn hands-on, practical. It's not sit on a table, take notes. No, you come there, we tell you this is the land, we do ABCD. What do you want? Do you want to learn this or you want to learn something else? So that is why we are learning. We have planted a variety of crops around. We have done strawberry. Now we are doing tomatoes. We had celery. We have lemongrass, we have aloe vera, we have passion. So all our plants are purely organic. We avoid as much as possible to use chemicals. So if, like I say, strawberries attract a lot of mosquitoes. So the only way I can chase away these mosquitoes is spray my strawberry once in a while with water that has white vinegar, once in a while. So that reduces the population of the mosquitoes. But our fertilizer, I use liquid seaweed. That one we use for plants. We use our normal manure that I told you, the cow dung, the chicken poop, the goat poop, the sheep poop. Those are the ones we mix and we make our own fertilizer.
And that's really exciting to see what we have coming up, what's going on right now, as well as our future plans for it, because that's where the pagan community starts to come in. You know, a lot of listeners out there may be saying, you know, how does this fit in with where I'm at in my place in the world, and how can I help with a project like this? There's a couple of different ways that we have developed for investors to join in on this project. One is that you can invest directly in Rhiannon Farms through the greenhouse program that we have. Where we will set up a greenhouse that you fund the greenhouse, you pay for the setup of the greenhouse, and then you partner with a farmer, a Kenyan farmer, who will take care of your greenhouse, and you will share in the profits of that system once profits start coming forward, which usually happens within the first year or a couple of years. Now, this isn't a program for people to get rich on, but it can be a way to become an angel investor or to do something good in the world while making a small return on your investment. So talk to us a little bit about those greenhouses that we are building. I know that you have a type of greenhouse and Silas has one. And Silas is our other partner with Rhiannon Farms. So tell us about the greenhouses.
Okay, we have two greenhouses. There's one, mine, and then there's Silas's. Mine is more of do-it-yourself kind of a greenhouse. I have a clear metal sheets at the backyard with some iron sheets, iron bars, tubes that help to make it stand, and some chicken mesh around it so that to prevent the big pests that can get in, like birds, to harvest the strawberries or destroy your plants. So that is my side. Then there is the greenhouse that Silas has. It's like it's called a geodome. We made it ourselves, practically from scratch. We bought our own tubes. We learned from the YouTube as we built. We learned also ways of not to do it and ways to do it right. So at the moment, we know how to do it. We know how to assemble it. And then there's the net that we put on top. So that one will help you to sieve out what goes in and what goes out. But if, let's say, talk about the donors that you're talking about, partners that want to join Rhiannon, I'll say you can invest or you can partner with one of the farmers. It's like you are giving a hand to a farmer who doesn't have the finances to do the farm. This farmer has no other way of supporting the family. But when you come in with the farm that he will start, he will know now this is my product. I have to work hard for it, for me to feed my family and also to give back to my partner. So you partner with them. We go there, we educate the farmer, we tell them what to do, what not to do, and then you guys come up with a financial statement on how things should be done and how things not to be done. We'll help you out maybe for a year or two. Once you both are stable and you can run your own business by the two of you, we'll let you guys to go and you proceed. If you want to expand with your farmer, you expand. So that is one of a way, it's like a way of helping Kenyans attain their goals. There's a youth who wants to do a farming but doesn't have the finance. He has an idea of maybe doing tomato farm but doesn't have the investments. You tell him, I'll do this. We do ABCD, get this down. You come down, you can even come down. Literally, we will host you, we'll show you around. You come, meet the farmer, work with the farmer, see the farmer for a whole month or two, work with the farmer on the ground, then learn even maybe a new language, then go back. So you know where your farmer is. We prefer our investors knowing face to face what they're getting into. If they want to come practically to Kenya, we have no objection. They come by themselves to Kenya, meet the farmer, see the land, learn new languages here, and decide if it's worth the investment. If it's worth, they invest. If it's not, they invest on something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And, speaking of the hosting services that we provide, I have to say that we experienced that, Martin, my partner, and I experienced that firsthand when we visited in Kenya earlier this year, and you and Silas hosted us and made us feel so welcome, and showed us around all the different farms that we had partnered with. And that was a really exciting trip to make. So if you are interested in investing in your own Kenyan farm, Silas and Maureen can make sure that happens for you. You can tour Africa, so to speak, or tour Kenya at least, and then from there determine what kind of partnership you want to have with your partner. And I love that program that we have, the Know Your Farmer program. It's very important to know where your food comes from for reasons of equity and equality. Oftentimes when we buy food in the supermarkets in the West, we have no idea where that food came from. We have no idea who touched it along the way in the chain, the logistics chain or the supply chain. And we have no idea if the people who were touching that along the way were paid a fair wage for their labor. And that's a huge thing that we need to be focused on. And that's one way that as independent individuals living within the West, that we can do that is by partnering with farms so that you know where your food comes from and you know that people are being paid a fair wage for their labor. So let's talk a little bit about the youth that we bring into these programs and the communities that we serve that become the farmers in Kenya. What kinds of people are we seeking out from the Kenyan side to work with, and what are their lives like?
Okay, at the moment, we have been looking at the employment rate in Kenya, it has gone down. So most of youth don't have work. Some of them don't have employment, but have a piece of land and they don't know what to do with it, because maybe I have a piece of land and the only crop they can go back to is maybe maize, which won't give them a good return. When you have maybe something like strawberry on your farm, you know you're going to harvest this strawberry for like life. It will give birth to others. So you'll just be expanding and you'll keep on investing. So if this youth can get something that can give him a return that he has to, he knows when I wake up at 6 a.m., I have to go and check on my plants. Are there fruits? Yesterday I left some that had started to ripe. Are they good? He goes, he harvests, and then he sells. So for every punnet he's going to sell, he will get a return. At the moment, our Kenyan market, we sell per 250 grams. We don't sell in 1 kgs. It's mostly in a punnet, which is 250 grams. So there's grade 1 and there's grade 2. The grade 1 is the big ones. The grade 2 is the ones that are medium and small. So the medium and small mostly goes for maybe 60 to 70, depending on the market. The big ones goes for about 150 to maybe 200, depends on the market. If it's on wholesale, it will be cheaper. But if you're selling on a retail, it has to go higher. You might sell at 100 for the small ones and 200 or 250 for the big ones. So it depends if you're doing retail or wholesale. But these youths that we work with are mostly the people who have a piece of land, who have the willing to learn and want to do farming. If you come to me and you tell me today, I want to learn more about what you're doing, I'll teach you. But if you don't have that morale of doing it, I have to force you to do it, then you're not the best candidate for us. We go to people who want to tell you, once they hear about strawberry and I want to know more, those are the people we work with. Like if you have a farm, like the one that Rhiannon, we are looking for, our goal in future, we will have maybe animals that we will have like rabbits. Rabbit pee is also a fertilizer for plants. Poop is also a fertilizer. So whichever animals you will have in the farm will benefit as it benefits. Whatever we get out, they eat, and whatever they give us back, we use as fertilizer. So it will be pure organic. We use what we have in the farm. So if we have our youth who say, may I have a cow, 1 cow? That is why Silas, you are hearing Silas asking for semen. So if we have people who have cows and baby needs to get semen that will give them a good breed, we work with those people. So we are not only locked on plants, we are all-rounded. Animals, plants, you just come ask us, and any way we can assist, we do.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited about the expansions that we're going to be doing into livestock. I know our plans are to partner with as soon as we can find a source for the bull semen that you were talking about here in the Netherlands. That there are things in place for that, so there's shipping in place for it, so we can make sure we can ship the semen and all of that. The same thing with the rabbits. That's an idea that I tossed back to Silas a few months back, because rabbits reproduce very quickly. I was raised on a rabbit farm, and we always had meat every winter. We never went hungry when we were on that farm. And there's a lot of people who have like you said, have that little piece of land maybe, but they don't know what to do with it after that. And we can show them how to wisely use that land so that it will continue sustainable farming over time, season after season, and feed that family for not just that generation, but for every generation to come. So let's talk a little bit more about the expansion for the homestead project. You talked about our next step. That's what we are saving towards now, is to get our own piece of land put a homestead on there, the central home, and then start expanding from there and adding services and more facilities as we go to help people. What I'm excited about is when we get to that point where we can bring in Westerners and show them farming techniques that they can then take back to America or Europe or wherever they're living, and use them there in their own backyard or in their own rooftop garden. So let's talk a little bit about that expansion. What do you picture the farm looking like in 10 years?
What I'm seeing the farm looking like in the next 10 years, it will be something awesome. That is one thing I know it's going to be something awesome, because at least we will have been able to give back to the society. Because if we are going to rescue maybe children, or will be a rescue center for the abused mothers or fathers or children, when they come to our farm, we'll equip them with a know-how that if I give you this piece of land, you can be able to stand on your 2 feet and be able to feed your family. I'll train you how to do this. I'll give you a home. And because also we are planning to have our homestead to be built with containers, as we had previously talked about, it will be a container kind of a home. We are thinking of using recycles. We don't want to start using other new stuff, so that we can make sure other people know that you don't have to build a house from foundation to. We are trying to teach people another new method of building a house that is sustainable and has every other amenity inside it. So because we are thinking of having a container house, so I think we'll have the first homestead will be the pillar for the others. It will be the main source where once we have our homestead, like let's say our first homestead maybe is in Siaya, where you went. So we build our first home there. Then after some time, when we expand, we don't expand in the same region. We go to a different region. Let's say in Nyeri, we build another home, so that this one is linked to that one. So when they are safe, we will be expanding from region to region, not just locality. When we say we have a home in Siaya, we can only build another home maybe in Western, because we have moved from Nyanza, we have gone to Western. So we want to do county-wise. I think we'll do it in provinces. Before the counties came, we had provinces. So we'll do it for provinces. So we do a little bit for Luo, we do a little bit for Luya, we do for Kikuyus, Kalenjins, like that, so that every community is catered for. So we expand as we go. And then we will check which community or which area is more inclined into will need more of the home than any other region. So we won't say we'll have the home maybe in Nyanza, and maybe this rescue center is much needed maybe in Masai land. So we'll look for a piece of land in Masai land, build that home, then get how we can rescue women, educate them. And then when the home is fully furnished, we get somebody to appoint who is going to be running the home from there, who understands people. So when people come there, they know we are safe, this is a home, this is a safe area. So anytime that place needs help, they'll always call us and we'll be able to link up and help them any way we can.
That's sounds like an amazing goal for us to have. I like that not only are we in 10 years finished with starting that first one, the first homestead, but we're expanding into other parts of Kenya with similar homesteads so that we can serve those communities as well. And let's talk a little bit more about the communities. You know, we mentioned that we could serve Nairobi youth, children who have been abandoned, children who have, for some reason, don't have parents. Let's talk a little bit about the centers around Nairobi, especially the tenement areas. What is a day in the life of one of these kids like currently?
I will say every child who is abandoned depends with the location the child is. If we say a child is abandoned in where I live, we have a children's home, which has really accommodated a lot of children, very many, takes care of them, takes them through school, all through high school, and make sure they get employed at the end of it. But if we are going to go to the slums, they get that children's home, it's there. But how these children go through it, it's kind of okay because I was in a bad state, but this one is just fine because I don't have an option. But if I take that child from that area and bring that child to where I live, that child will blossom because now he has more amenities, more possibilities, more opportunities. So it depends with area to area. That is why if we are to make that homestead in Nairobi, we'll select a place that has a big, vast land that we can occupy and then build a home there. So we will go around picking children. Mostly I'll prefer if we can get those children who are abandoned or orphans who live in the slum, then we give them a place. This child will appreciate and will blossom because you're now there for that child. You're there as the mother and the father. You know, the child knows from here, I am to go to school. From here, I can't get into bad behavior. I cannot get into bad gangs. I have everything I need. I don't need to do anything. My agenda here is to learn and get better with time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is what we are thinking.
And let's go. So in comparison, that's the life that we want them to have, where they have people around that are giving them the proper care, giving them proper nutrition, making sure they get through school. But right now, that those tenements are, especially the children's homes you talked about, are really overburdened with. There's more kids than places to put them, basically. So if you're a kid and you're waking up, let's say in the children's home that day, what's your life like when you go through that day?
Okay, mostly the children's home, let's say in a room like mine that is supposed to have 2 beds, they'll put maybe 4 double-deckers. But in Kenya, we don't only have double-deckers, we have triple-deckers. We don't just have double-deckers, we have triple-deckers. So in a bed, maybe you've slept 2, 2, 2. When you touch, your feet touches the ground. By the time you go to the kitchen, you're about 24 to 30 or 40 kids in one home, which is not big enough to contain all these children. So it is a little bit squeezed. The people who run the homes are also overwhelmed. They need help because if they had the opportunity, they will expand and get children better care. But because of limited resources, they keep them in one enclosure. So with time, these kids also start seeing this is not enough. They go join those groups. So if you can only get them, get enough. If you say, I'm going to have maybe, my goal is to have my home to have maybe 50 children. Make sure your area is able to cater for 50 children. And we say 50 children, how many will be below 5? And how many will be above 16? So you work with that. When you have an 18-year-old who has cleared his high school level and maybe did well and went to campus, that one gives you a break and maybe you can add another one. But when this child comes home, you will have allocated a different home for the grown-ups. They won't be mixed up with the young ones. So you have levels. As you have levels, we say, this is the home for the babies, these are for the teenagers, and then these ones are for the above. But when they get to 21 after they finish campus, you train them maybe to do a business, maybe get a hands-on kind of business so that they can be able to support themselves. Once they have seen the progress, most of them or few of them will try to give back. They'll tell you, I'll take care of this child. You took care of me, now this one is my responsibility. I'll take this child through all process. So when you're training these children, when we put them in the same home, my idea is to give them life skills that if somebody helps you out, when you are capable of helping out, you give it back to the society. Don't be selfish. Society supported you. You also need to give back to society. Because if you don't give back to society, who is going to help it? This little one, who is going to help? You might get into trouble tomorrow. This child that you refuse to support is the person who comes and help you out, gives you a hand. So my goal, and Rhiannon, where I visualize it to be, will be something that helps the society and the children at large, so that they will be empowered to the level that they know the society belongs to us. We are the people to make it better, not the society to make it better for us. Not others, but us make it better for everyone else.
Absolutely, and that brings to mind one of the pillars of the Black Mountain Druidry and I interviewed the leader of Black Mountain Druidry last week, Shinka Skane, and one of the things that he mentioned is that pillar of service, that once we have found success in our community, we need to share that success with the communities that we belong to. So I definitely think that supporting Rhiannon Farms is one way to give back to the community and show that. And I do like that, this isn't a charity. We are by no means, we don't do a charity. We have a social entrepreneurship. It is designed to be sustainable, be self-supporting, and to produce adults out of this program that are capable of feeding themselves, growing their own food, and providing for their families, which I think every human being can relate to, that need to be self-supported and self-sustaining. So when you see kids go through program, or let's say kids that don't get opportunities for these programs, that don't get picked up by the system or helped out in some way by the system, what happens to them?
Okay, I'll say it's a bad sight. It's a really bad sight. It's not something that you will want your child to go through. You will want somebody close to you to go through. This is a child you'll find, you hear street families, you've heard of street families, and then you have heard of street children. These children don't have where to sleep. They don't have what to eat. They don't have clothes to wear. They don't go to school. They don't have clean water. They are just there. So this child will end up in the street. So this child will grow up hating the society. When he's in maybe 11, 12, he has gotten into a gang that is in the street. They start pickpocketing, they start robbing, they start, little by little, this child ends up being a thief or something worse than a thief. So the society, that is why sometimes I wish we could go back to the ages of my grandfather. My grandpa was still alive when he was growing up, where the society, the community knew that child was yours while he was in your stomach. But once you give birth to this child, it becomes our child, not yours. So if this child makes a mistake, it is me to straighten this child out. If this child doesn't have food, that child can't eat in my house, and there will not be a problem. But now we live in a society where we are selfish. We don't want somebody's child eating in our place, or the mother of that child doesn't want the child to eat at my place because they have their own reasons. But back then it was your child, it is also my child, and my child is also your child. So it was more, we loved each other, we took care of each other. You won't see somebody's child going astray and just keep on climbing at the corner. At the end of the day, this child will become a menace to you too, not only to the father. So that is what we need to go back to, care for another person. That is why sometimes I love being in Kenya, because you know who your neighbor is, you know when your neighbor is in trouble, you know who to go to. Back in the village, that sense of home, that sense of society, that sense of community is still there. If my neighbor doesn't have food, they will come to me and say, give me a cup of flour. We need to cook ugali. We don't have ugali. So you will go, you'll give them some. But in the urban center, it has kind of come, we have kind of walked away from it. It's in the village, but not in the urban center.
Yeah, and that I learned that the phrase that we have in English actually comes from Kenya originally. That it takes a village to raise a child is actually a Kenyan phrase, not an English phrase, which makes a lot more sense because England wasn't very well known for taking care of people, at least not in any kind of appropriate way. So going back to this idea of taking a village to raise a child and ways that people can do that. It doesn't even have to be kids here, but just think if you're listening out there and you're thinking of kids in your community that are going hungry tonight and you have food to help them, go and help them. That's an important thing to do. But if you are also interested in helping to make sure Kenyan children not only have food for that night and have clean running water, but also have education, have job opportunities when they grow up, and feel like they're in a safe place to sleep every night. That's super important for kids to have. And you're absolutely, as a society, we need to realize, especially Westerners, in regards to Africa in particular, if we caused a lot of the problems that are going on there, and we have prevented a lot of progress from being made by our actions since then. Even actions like going to the store and buying fruit and you don't know where it came from. That is still being culpable in that practice of slavery. If you're not absolutely certain that the food you're purchasing is slavery free, and we need to, as Westerners, really start thinking about ways that we can equalize the playing field. And bring people globally to the table that have been marginalized and have lost their voice and are not being taken care of by society. So we have just a few minutes left for our interview, and I want to just follow up with how people can find you through Rhiannon Farms, and what your socials are, what the website is, and all of that.
Okay, you can find me anywhere. On FB, you can find me at Maureen Daniela. Instagram, you can get me at Modani81. Our website for Rhiannon, I'm not sure about that.
Rhiannon Farms, yeah, that one's rhiannonfarms.com. And I'm in charge of that website, so it comes and it goes when I have time to work on that one. Yeah.
So you can get me on Instagram, you can get me on Facebook, and you can get me on WhatsApp. Krys will pass my number. We'll put it, and you'll see it. So
yeah, I'll put that on at the end of the account. Actually, I can just go ahead and pull it up now and make sure I add that in there. So Rhiannon Farms number, let's see here, and I'll make sure to put this up on the board.
So my last words will be like this. If you're willing to partner with farmers in Kenya, we'll gladly host you, show you. You get your feet on the ground. You feel that you're not sending money to a ghost. I prefer you come by yourself. Meet the farmer by yourself. Decide on by yourself, we are going to plant this farm, this kind of crop, or we'll do this kind of livestock keeping, so that you decide with the farmer, you sit down, you negotiate, and everything works out. If you decide to support a child, let's say you want to adopt a child, I'll advise people not to adopt a child and carry the child away from their society. They kind of tend to forget where they come from. I'll advise you to support the child. Let him go through the basic training in Africa, in Kenya in particular. Let him learn. let him know where he comes from. When he goes and forgets, we normally say in our culture, anybody who forgets his tradition or culture, that one is a lost person. So if a child who has been trained for 18 years forgets his culture, then that is not up to the society or the community per se, it's up to that child. So we say, adopt a child, come meet that child. Say, I'll be taking care of this child from here to here. When she's done with her schooling, I can come back, pick the child and further her studies wherever you want. But I'll prefer if this child learns the basic from age 1 to 18 here. Let him get his roots so that he doesn't get confused when he goes, maybe in America or in Europe. He knows his roots. That is very important for a person to know their roots, their culture, can defend it. If they're asked, they can defend it. But somebody who doesn't know their roots, their culture, is kind of confused. I'm not sure if I'm a European or a Kenyan, because he doesn't understand. Went very young, so he doesn't know. So
Absolutely.
that would be my tips.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that a lot of Westerners think that, they're, and in a lot of ways they are helping out that child if they adopt that child and bring that back. But in some ways, you're right. They are losing that child's cultural foundation, that those roots that they come from. There's a whole topic of conversation around it called the African diaspora, that is not just related to only white people adopting African children, but also just the spread of Africans throughout the world in many ways against their will, against their choice, and so keeping that in mind when we try to practice service towards the Kenyan communities, towards African communities, we need to keep in mind all of these historical injustices and ones that are continuing to happen today, and make sure that our actions for trying to help out aren't actually causing more harm in the long run. So thank you.
Something before I forget. You see, when I read about the pagan culture, I went through it and I'm like, why does it sound like pagan is like our African culture that somebody tried to take away from us? Now we are going back to where we were before it was taken away from us, because us, we were polygamists and we were comfortable with it. Then somebody came and convinced us that if you are a polygamist, it's wrong. Then we went that way. But still, the homes that are having polygamists, very comfortable, very happy. There's no that type of war. So if we can embrace our cultures, whichever area you're from, be you an American, be you Netherlands, a Dutch, so long as you know your culture, and when you learn a new culture, learn what your culture affected the other person. So you know, I need to do this, and I don't need to do this. Like if I come to Netherlands, I don't need to bring my Africanness there. I have to learn a new culture so that everything balances.
Well, there is definitely a part of bringing, when immigrants come here, they do bring part of their culture with them, and their, the food and the dancing and all of those things that bring a culture to life. I like seeing that blend and that mesh. So, but it's also a really cool experience to bring in a new culture within your own culture. So, thank you so much for sharing information about Rhiannon Farms with us today, Maureen. And again, you can
You're
find
welcome.
them on rhiannonfarms.com or at Rhiannon Farms on all the socials. And I do have that number up now. It's +254 for the country code for Kenya. And then that number is 112-755-348. So thank you so much for joining us today, Maureen. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future soon.
Thank you. And it was nice talking to you again.
Yeah, nice talking to you as well. And thank you everyone for listening today. This has been Speak Your Own Book, and I am Krys Copeland, our host, and I've been speaking today with Maureen Ochieng.
Thank you for watching Speak Your Own Book, the TV show on Pagan World TV, hosted by head writing coach and co-founder Krys Copeland. Please join us next time on Speak Your Own Book.
Sarah had been trying to write a book for ages, but she was still on page 1. Until she discovered SpeakYourOwnBook.com. Sarah teamed up with one of our trained writing coaches, who listened to Sarah's book idea, asked the right questions, and guided Sarah every step of the way. In 90 minutes, they had written the outline for Sarah's entire book. Within weeks, using the speak writing method, Sarah became a published author, both online and in print. Whether it's a textbook, an autobiography, a novel, or a children's book, SpeakYourOwnBook.com can help.
Yeah.
Visit our website today to download our free 50-question guide and schedule your free consultation. With Speak Writing, anyone can publish a book. Speak your own book today. You speak, we write.